Hello, it's Peter from the Saltwater Edge, and we wanted to make a video on fly fishing for Balt's albacore. We made one a couple of days ago on light tackle and ran through tackle and tactics and some options there. We can do the same thing for the fly rod now. And I would say saltwater fly fishing, as it relates to Balt's albacore, is one of the most challenging scenarios you can have. You know, they pop up over here, and then minutes later they've moved and they're behind you, and so there's a lot of challenges and things to maybe think about as you choose tackle. So we'll do this in a good, better, best scenario. One of the first rods we're excited about is the wing from Gray's. This rod came in this winter. We took it outside, all of us, and threw it around, and we were like, damn, this is really a smooth, nice casting rod at a pretty competitive price. It's around $400, and there's a lot of value here at that price. The next one's always been a staple for us is the Orvis Recon in a 9 or a 10 weight, and that's because Orvis, like some other companies, Shimano for example, take their top technologies and move it down in the good, better, best sequence as they bring out something new. So there's a lot of top of the line taper and blank in this product with good hardware, but it makes a product that's closer to $600 in cost, but a really nice fishing tool. The next one demonstrates a preference of mine. I like to throw weighted lines at least a third of the time for albies, I would say. And the one I use is 350, and this is the Exoset SS, designed to throw a 350 grain weight line. It's 8 foot 8 inches long. It's got all the Thomas & Thomas workmanship, which they're certainly known for out in Greenfield, Mass. But I really like it for fish fighting, and it takes the sometimes difficult to cast weighted lines like the 350 and smooths it out and makes it easier to, and you've got a boat that's bouncing and a line that's kind of funky. This buys you a little bit of time, maybe loads and unloads a little slower. The TNT Exoset SS. Moving on to reels. Another entry from Gray's, the Title, came into the shop this winter, and bang for the buck. It's got great retrieve speed and plenty of capacity. This is the 8 weight size, and the 10's another option, but a great choice for albies on a bit of a budget. Next one up is the Hydros from Orvis. This is at about $300. Couple things about it. Orvis really did a fine job with the way they sealed this. That's a sealed stack, but it still uses a traditional trout mechanism to attach it, but while it's not fully sealed, it's largely sealed. And great startup inertia, which is an important thing with albies, and plenty of retrieve speed, another important thing. So this thing's always been a great choice for a mid-price reel. New this year is the Fortuna from Hardy. I think I know it's won a couple of awards. This looks giant. It is oversized. It's got a tremendous retrieve speed. This is the 10-11 weight. You could certainly get by with albies on the 8-9 weight. But very smooth drag and tremendous pickup line retrieve. So something. Another option. I'm excited to really put this one through the paces this year, but it's proven itself in the tarpon game, so I'm pretty confident it can deliver on the albies. Changing gears to lines from the hard goods. When albie fishing, I kind of like having an intermediate clear tip on the fly line. That means I can shorten my leader or stay with an 8-foot leader. Don't really have to extend it very far. And it gives you the advantage of when you're stripping in, you get most of that line to the surface. You can roll cast that intermediate tip to the surface, pick it up, and maybe with a false cast or two, deliver the fly in another direction. That's kind of the point I made earlier about albie fishing, how demanding it can be of your casting ability for the fact that they're 70 feet that way, and almost as soon as you throw that rope, they're 20 feet that way. So I like the fact that these lines can be water loaded and get you right back in the game. Another example is very popular is the Rio Outbound Short. It'll take a stiff rod and slow it down. It's essentially, this is a 9, it's essentially a 9.5 weight. It'll slow the rod down and allow you to maybe make a few less false casts, get back in the game quicker. Then the last two here are both 350 grain lines. And this is the more traditional tungsten impregnated line, the Rio Striper 350. But this other one's new, and I mentioned it earlier in the video. It's the triple density, and what I like about it is that it's an intermediate, then a section of sink 3 and a section of sink 5 to total 330 grains. And it's a much smoother casting line than some of these others can be. And I think in more of a still water situation, it's going to evenly settle. I'm not so sure that's the case in a rip and things like that, but I've been very happy with this line thus far. Moving on to tippet, and I have just right out of my tackle bag what I use for albies, 16 fluoro and 12 fluoro. I'll start with 16. Whole leader length might be 8 feet, maybe a little shorter. If things are picky, I might go to 12, but a lot of folks make good fluorocarbon. Build the body of the leader out of mono and tip it with fluoro. Flies, boy, it's the hotness in albie fishing. There's so much creativity going on. It's really something. But these are proven. This is our take on the popular albacore, and basically with a little bit of futzing around with a buddy of mine, Pete Farrell, we've kind of developed or pursuing the idea of using solar reds versus hot glue. And it might not have even been Pete's idea alone either, but the point is it makes a fly that's a little bit more transparent, quicker to build, and we have it in size 1/0 and in size 1, size 2. Another super popular fly, has been for years, in the Orvis catalog for years, is Glenn Mickelson's epoxy baitfish, olive and chartreuse. And just a really clean, simple epoxy baitfish pattern. Glenn is a guide out on Long Island, and that fly's been killing it for 20 years. Next one is Bob Popovic's sort of series of pop flies. Includes a foil that he developed with a fly tying company, and it throws off a real flash, you know. A couple of versions. There's anchovy, there's sandy, there's silverside, but they're all it's kind of equally effective, but I think the anchovy is probably the smallest one in size. Next one is a saltwater edge favorite, which is the weighted bunny, whether you do it in a brighter color or in the traditional white. Has a tungsten cone. Great fly. It's where I start, and I like it because it swims when it's still. I like it when I let it settle through the bait and it gets hammered as a stunned bait fish. And then you can fish it any way you would fish any of the other flies. But the bunny fly is a great choice, and as I said, for me, it's my searching fly. And the last is a salty clouser. This is a fulling mill pattern. It's just a high tie version of a clouser minnow tied on a really nice Gamakatsu hook. A couple of colors, gray, olive, and chartreuse. So check out the salty clouser. So those are a couple of flies. A good, better, best take on reels, rods, reels, lines, a little bit of the logic between the choices. And then just two other thoughts. Obviously, a stripping basket and some kind of bag. This is the Simms T-Zip, and I really like it because it keeps everything dry. It's waterproof, that zipper. And there's some other ones, Fish Pond, and some other people make them. Maybe we'll do a review. If you're interested, we'll talk you through those bags in a separate video. If that's the case, put it in the comments. All right. Thanks very much for tuning in, and tight lines.